On Friday, the 19th of April 2024, this is Coffee Time on West Coast Radio, 92.1 on FM, also online. Thank you for joining us. The time in the Gambia is 9 minutes past 8 o'clock in the morning. The government has come under fire for a communication contract criticized for alleged lack of transparency and obscurity of some of the contract awardees. The Ministry of Information has chosen 7 media houses and paid each $5.2 million to push the government's agenda, whatever that means. This took place under the watch of the sacked Lamin Queen Jammeh. Now let me be clear. There could have been even fewer contractors with bigger amounts going to each of them. That's not the issue. But in a serious society under a serious government, such contracts would always be awarded through a competitive open bidding process inviting all eligible bidders to submit their bids openly and equally. That ensures transparency and equal participation in the procurement process. And because that didn't happen in this case, there is understandably a demand for answers. The Newspaper Publishers Association, none of whose members is a beneficiary of the media contract, is meeting President Barrow later today. Meanwhile, for us here at West Coast Radio, we are not aggrieved at all at being left out. Oh no. Remember, we said no thank you to the government's COVID handouts. Our only interest in this matter is the lack of transparency of the process. Sadly, a hallmark of this government since 2017. And we said yesterday we needed the new minister, Dr. Ismaila Ceesay, to explain how they arrived at their decision. Well, to my surprise, he messaged me, I suppose soon after attending the weekly cabinet meetings yesterday, to say he would be available this morning. And that's why I'm presenting. And true to his word, he's on the line. Good morning and thanks for coming on, Dr. Ceesay. I understand this media contract file was one of the things you inherited from your predecessor. What have you been able to find out?
Well, that is correct, Peter. Good morning to you and your listeners. What I've been able to find out is that as part of efforts to popularize government activities and programs in line with the Urua development plan, funds were set aside from the Urua project to give priority to the dissemination of government information to the public, that is, as part of the access to information. There was a very open, transparent, and fair process, even though it was a restricted tender. Government had criteria. It should be audiovisual media service providers with a very wide reach, and that have been really working with government, supporting government, but also voluntarily offering service and coverage to government over the past years. It was a pilot phase, so 5 media houses were identified to be part of this restricted tender, and 2 content developers. It went through GPPA process. It went through all the processes in terms of procurement, and those were identified and were paid to offer these services to the government.
You said it was open, but you're using the word restricted. How can something be open and restricted? Explain that to me. I just want to understand.
Open in the sense that it followed GPPA process, the tender process of GPPA. And that is not, it's in line with the law. No law has been broken in this sense. It is accepted in government procurement rules. So no law has been broken as far as I'm concerned, even though it was a restricted tender, and government, I think, has the requisite, or they have the right to identify the media houses that they think they can work with in this case as a pilot phase. The idea is this is a pilot phase. It might be extended at some point, but there was a set of criteria, and those that fulfill those criteria are invited to be part of this tender.
So who was rejected? Who applied?
No, nobody was rejected. The government had a set of criteria, and they identified those who fulfilled that criteria.
So
these are the ones who were invited.
Why did you have to say then they went through a tender process? I mean, this was decided by government. Government had already made its choice. You were just probably, for the purpose of a conversation like we are having right now, one day be able to say, well, they tendered.
Yes, I was not in office. So what I understand is that the call for tender was sent to those who were identified. They filled the form, due process was followed, and they won the tender, all of them. And they are given the contract to popularize government information.
So government has finally agreed that its programs were never popular in the past, so they had to run to, certain partners to help it popularize its agenda. I'm using your own words. You're saying popular.
Not necessarily. Popularize means that to give it more traction as part of the Euro National Development Plan. So every government does that. It's not like it's new. It's not like it's unprecedented. It's not like it's out of the norm. Government will realize that, look, we have a national development plan.
When can you remember the Jammeh government doing something like this? You just said that every government does it. The Jammeh government is too recent to forget. When can you remember that, it did such a thing?
Well, I can't remember Jammeh doing it, but other countries do it, Peter. Maybe that wasn't the right word, but most governments do it. It's a norm across the world that governments can hire the services of media service providers to disseminate information, to do PR work for them. That is quite normal. It's not out of the usual.
Is this restricted system of bidding, to you, is it a fair process?
Well, it follows due process. So anything
I'm asking you, is it a fair process? Do you think everything that follows a process is a fair process?
Well, the government knew what they wanted. They knew what they were looking for, and they went for it. It's a fair process, of course. They know what they are. They had set criteria, and they approached those who fulfill that criteria.
Okay. The Newspaper Publishers Association are going to meet the president today. They will obviously complain about this. What if the president calls you and says, this did not follow due process?
Well, I wouldn't know. Like I said, I wasn't in office. What I've seen is that it has gone through the GPPA process. There was a criteria. One of them was it should be audio visuals, not written, not newspaper. So there was a criteria, and those who fulfilled those were invited in to bid for the tender, and they won it. So that is something that was decided by the government, and so be it.
My understanding is that the GPPA actually declined to approve this process several times. Files have gone between the ministry and the GPPA several times. Is that your understanding as well, even though, somehow somebody has found a way of working around that and getting the contracts approved?
Well, that is not my understanding. I wasn't here, like I said. What I see is the final product. So as far as the final product is concerned, it followed due. But what happened behind the scenes before that, I have no idea.
Let's talk about the ferries. We understand that, people in Barra, are still angry with the government. What message might you have for them this morning?
Yes, well, I think we understand, rightly so. People will be angry and emotional. That is why the president came out to go and see firsthand progress of the reparation and rehabilitation of the ferries. And he took the opportunity to apologize to the Gambian people. And also, when we understand that a group of people from Nyomi wanted to protest on Sunday, I think Nyomi Hands, government invited them, high-level meeting with them on Wednesday evening. We had a meeting attended by the Chief of Staff, myself, the Minister of Works, Director of Ports, Director of Ferries, the Alcalde of Bar, National Assembly for Central Badibu, and the Mayor of Banjul. We had a very good meeting. Those who wanted to protest. And we asked them, let us dialogue, protest. And they said, well, they had some short-term measures and medium-term measures they want government to make. They could consider the protest. We asked them what those measures were. One of them wanted a speedboat, which is used as an ambulance between Banjul and Barra to ferry the sick in an emergency. Government said, well, they said they had looked at the procurement of those speedboats and they would cost $4.8 million, and they had all the specs. Government said, well, bring them on. We'll buy two, in fact, so that one can be in Banjul, one can be in Barra. They also said that as far as short-term measures is that they wanted life vests for kids. There is a lot, obviously, because the Army provided 750, Maritime provided 1,000. They said, but children didn't have. And government said, well, we'll procure that one. So yesterday, government started procuring more life vests for kids. They also wanted reinforcement of security. Yesterday, we also decided that we are going to reinforce security, even though security is already there. They also demanded that we build a kind of a catwalk so that people who are using these small canoes don't have to be carried by laborers. Government started procurement yesterday to build those catwalks. But the president gave specific instructions to the port's management to start building, designing, and welding those catwalks so that people can, in dignity, enter the canoes. So government accepted all their proposals, and then their medium-term plans was that we buy new ferries. Yesterday, on Wednesday, government signed two contracts to buy 2 new green ferries, Kunta Kinte type, which will be ready within 14 months. So government accepted all their proposals, and we had a very good meeting.
Is it 14 or is it 14 or 16 months, Dr. Ceesay? Be careful what you tell us, huh?
16 months. Sorry, 16 months. 1 year, 4 months. Sorry, 16 months. Within 16 months should be ready from design to building. Within 16 months. So we had a very good meeting, but to our dismay, they still want to go ahead and do the protest, even though the president came out, he showed concern, he took it very seriously.
Probably because they've been promised more than once by the president and nothing has come out of it. Yes, the president can make a promise, but the people who are supposed to help him implement that promise usually make no move. And if you believe in the principle of a stitch in time saves 9, look at all the expenditure that is being done now. Yet on top of that, we will still buy 2 new ferries. What if these 2 new ferries were bought even 2 years ago? People have been complaining about these ferries even while Yahya Jammeh was still around. And this was a government that was supposed to come and make change, positive change.
Peter, we understand all that. What I'm saying is that what specific promise did the president make to the people of Bara and he did not fulfill? Or the people of Nyumi?
Give me a specific one. Even bridging Banjul Bara.
But that process has started. They are doing
it should have started.
As part of the,
it should have started.
We are working with ECOWAS.
It should have started ages ago.
Peter, you know better than me that these things don't happen like that.
Don't promise then.
Capital intensive projects.
Stop promising.
That have to follow a process. So that process is on. I'm pleased to inform the Gambian people that the process has started. The feasibility studies are ongoing. The Gambian government is working with ECOWAS as part of the Abidjan-Lagos corridor. That will happen, obviously, within next. That is one of the long-term plans. But in the medium term, 2 new ferries are coming. In the short term, they are rehabilitating Kunta Kinte, which will be done within 3-4 weeks, max 3 weeks. Canela will go up to be rehabilitated as well. So also the private sector is also coming into the scene. Very soon you'll see private sector also offering services, ferry services. So government is doing all it can to the best of its ability to ensure that the problem is solved.
Coming back to this media contract, where did this money come from? Because this was not captured in any vote or whatever. So where was the ministry able to get? In fact, how much is precisely involved? Is it 42 or 46 million? Is it 42 or 46 million?
Well, I cannot tell you the exact figure. I know it's around about 40 million.
When you have had the file on your table for weeks now, Ismaila?
No, I didn't have the file on my table.
We started out this conversation.
The file is not on my table. It's not on my table, I can tell you that.
Yeah, but you went through the file, didn't you?
I went through the file yesterday, yes.
Only yesterday?
Yes.
Goodness me. And still you could not calculate the final figure?
Around 40 million, not above 40 million.
Not above 40 million?
No.
You're sure about that?
100%.
We're hearing anywhere between 40 and 46.
No. Not above, between 36 and 40 million.
So each got 5.2 million?
Yes.
Where did this money come from?
Well, it's a special envelope put aside by government as part of the Irua project to popularize the Irua.
But special envelope, taken from what vote? Whose vote?
Well, I wouldn't know, Peter. Like I said, I'm just trying as far as possible to
Ismaila.
Things. I don't know which vote it came from. I don't know which vote I can find out and get back to which vote it came from. But for now, what I can tell you is that it is a special envelope put aside for this purpose.
If you don't even have facts to give us, how transparent is your transparency?
But I'm trying to give you all the facts to the best of my ability. Some facts, I cannot know all the facts. You have to understand that as well. I'm giving you all the facts to the best of my ability. But there are facts that I have to go and find out first for me to get back to you on that. Which vote it came from, I don't know. What I know is a special envelope for this purpose. Government has a right to be able to, as part of access to information, hire media houses.
Nobody is disputing that. I said in my introduction that government could have even chosen to work with fewer contractors and pay them much more. That's not the issue for us. all my questions are based...
part of government efforts to support media houses.
All my questions are based around transparency. We
Yes.
just want all you people shout out when you go out. We are saying you people are not transparent. You insist you are transparent. How much is involved? You can't tell me.
But I told you how much is involved. I said almost $40 million.
You're telling me almost. I want a specific figure because we're...
Peter, almost $40 million.
Okay.
Between 36 and 40. That's exact.
And
That's the exact amount.
And you're saying it's not
It's
above...
not above 40 million.
It's not above 40.
That I can tell you that. It's not above 40
It's not
million.
above 40, which is good.
I mean, if you multiply 7 media providers by 5.2, that's the amount it gives you. And you ask me how much is 5.2 is what they received each.
Okay.
So we can do the math.
Fair enough.
So we are trying to be transparent as best to the best of our ability.
Fair enough. And how has this story affected relations, in the ministry?
I mean, it has not affected relations. These are things that happen. You could question the wisdom, but I think the government did well in ensuring that they support media houses in the process as well. Media houses are struggling in this country. I think government has the right to hire the services of media houses as also part of their support for the media to offer services to them. Like they can hire the services of any other service provider in the country. The media is also part of it. So for me, I see nothing wrong with this. You could question maybe it should have been out a while ago to inform the public that this did not happen. We'll take note of that. But these are normal things that governments can do to hire the services of private sector and work with them. And in this case, it is the media.
And why did you not consider the newspapers?
But like I said, I was in here when the criteria was being set. What I understand is that they focus more on this pilot stage with those engaged in audio visuals and have a TV and a radio at the same time. That is why they took Africa TV, which has TV and a radio, Star TV, QTV, and Paradise. And they said, well, let's take also one online, which has a wider coverage, and they took Fata Network.
And so what does...
So maybe going forward, when this pilot phase ends, if we are going to really work on it again, we'll review and assess, and then perhaps widen the net to ensure that other media houses also benefit from it.
I can assure you this is a one-off. You people knew what you were doing, and not everybody is looking forward to this.
Well,
we are Gambians as well. We get information. Tell us something about Fangdema and Sparkling Media. What do they do actually?
Well, to be honest, they are supposed to be two content providers. So the idea is that even though the other media houses will publish, but those who are going to get the content in terms of government projects and activities is going to be these two service providers. So their role is to go around ministries, project sites across the country to gather the content that will be now refined and then published in the media with the media houses.
Okay. I'm sure you've received calls from left, right, and center, and you're probably being bashed as we speak online. Have you been reading social media at all?
No, it's part of our job. When things like this happen, we have to deal with it. That's what it is. We have to deal with it. Things happen, we deal with it, and we move.
Was it discussed in cabinet yesterday? You were in cabinet, weren't you?
Well, I was in cabinet yesterday, yes.
Was it discussed?
Well, I cannot say that because some things that are not supposed to be for the public consumption that is discussed in cabinet cannot be given to the public. Those that were discussed that is for public consumption, I made a statement after cabinet, and those ones are in the public domain.
All right, Dr. Ceesay, thanks for your time again.
Thank you.
All right, that's Dr. Ismaila Ceesay. He's the Minister of Information.